The Three Musketeers, the most read book in the world after the Bible. Filmed with a cast that dazzles the screen with their brilliant performances.
There are 6 of them, and we are only 3.
No. 4.
What is your name, youngster?
D'Artagnan.
Athos, Porthos, Aramis, and D'Artagnan.
Forward!
One for all for one. The action.
You want to sleep with me. You need a good cuddle. Chase the fights away.
The romance.
Oh, Monsieur D'Artagnan. Oh.
The excitement. The suspense. The Three Musketeers, a truly great film adventure.
Your Majesty refers to God?
I refer to Cardinal Richelieu, which is not quite the same thing. Ah, Cardinal.
Up, Cardinal. Down, Queen.
The spectacle, the splendor, the thrills. The genius of Alexander Dumas, the brilliance of Richard Lester. One great screen entertainment. The Three Musketeers. One mighty cast, a dazzling motion picture. Oliver Reed, Raquel Welch, Richard Chamberlain, Michael York, Frank Finlay, Christopher Lee, Geraldine Chaplin, Jean-Pierre Cassel, Simon Ward, Faye Dunaway, and Charlton Heston in The Three Musketeers.
As a kid, we knew Chamberlain. I mean, the generation ahead of me knew him as Dr. Kilgare.
Yes, but, I did.
And a lot of women loved him from the Thornbirds, which I'd never seen. But for me, he was always the Three Musketeers and Shogun.
Those for me too. I even grew a mustache with a little thing underneath at the time.
Sean and I were just looking at clips of that because I loved those movies. I thought the production value in those movies was unmatched. The streets with all the activity and the activity that Richard Lester put in there that the average director wouldn't have thought to put in there, like the moving trees and horticulture and all. Anyway, we were looking at the clip. One clip is when D'Artagnan decides to jump out the window to duel the guy, but actually lands on the window washing equipment, so goes up.
Yeah.
Which was pretty clever, I thought. But the way those guys spoke in that movie, like, well, you know, I'm only a musketeer temporarily until I get accepted into the priesthood. The dialogue, the voice and diction was incredible. It was a great movie too.
Oh yeah.
So that was actually one of those hallmark things. Yeah, you worked with Lester too, didn't you? Work with him on?
Yes. Superman too, but Richard's originally from Philadelphia. He's an American. You listen to him speak, and he has a British accent because he's been living there since the early '60s. But one of the things that really struck me in the Three and Four Musketeers, and that was sort of like the last Harry Potter. It was shot as to be one movie, and they had so much material there. And the same thing, and the same producers as Superman. Same deal with Superman 2. They had all this leftover stuff, and then so that they were able to go out and shoot more stuff and make a second movie.
Yeah. So what you're alluding to, for those listening, is the Salkinds actually shot enough for 2 films, which led to a SAG law that you can't cut it into 2 movies without the actor's approval or something to that effect.
And you have to pay them for 2 movies. You can't.
And you should. Yeah. Well, there's 2 different stories on it. There's the Salkind story, which is, we had this extra footage, but it is extremely coherent to have all this extra footage that leads conveniently into another chapter.
Well, the thing is,
the actors say real quick that they thought they were shooting a masterpiece with all of it, and they were. I tend to believe the talent, but continue.
Well, if you look at the MGM Three Musketeers with Gene Kelly as D'Artagnan, and Van Heflin was one of them, and I can't remember who else from the MGM stable of actors was in it. Lana Turner was Milady de Winter, and it beautifully photographed. It was just stunningly beautiful. And if you look at that movie, just like in Robin Hood, you sort of get this sense that oh my God, the early and then later um, medieval period or into the Renaissance period. Oh my God, it was just gorgeous and untouched and beautiful and all that.
Yeah.
And then you see the Three Musketeers and the Four Musketeers, and he brought a grittiness and a realism to that, where you can actually smell the horse manure in that
Mhm.
movie. Do you know what I mean?
You can, and it also had a sense of action realness to it, so to speak, where the fight scenes were kind of dirty, and there was no once the swords came out, it got very, very
Yeah.
uncanny. Like they did
It
not.
was no longer Olympic fencing. It was life or
No,
death. And yeah, you know.
they would cheap shot, throw things, bash you
Yeah.
with the chair, and I
Yeah.
loved that because that seemed like a fight for your life. And actually, I
Yeah.
think the fencing fight coordinator actually makes an appearance in the film as one of the assassins towards the end. But they also got hurt. They
Yes.
got hurt in the making of the film, but they got hurt in the movie, which I didn't see in a lot of movies prior. They were kind of unscathed oftentimes, but there's
Oh
that
yeah.
scene where they have a bet where they're like, we're gonna have breakfast on the top of the castle on top of the chalet.
Yes.
Seems a long way to go for breakfast. Thank you, my dear Athos. Look, over there! Can you see? Someone's approaching the bastion! Fire!
Hurry! I'll cover you. Quickly, quickly!
Don't stop it, Planchet! Oh! All right? Why do we always have to attack uphill? I'm getting too old for this.
I got something important to tell you.
They have to speak up a bit.
You and you. Up there, yes. I see it. You. Get those things ready. You.
Last we got a chance to talk in peace.
Here we are, sir. Here's your wine now. Very extreme temperature.
Well, come on, open it, Planchet. Damn that pot-bellied part of a landlord. This isn't champagne. This wine does not travel well.
You saw her with the Cardinal. And she's going to murder Buckingham?
If necessary. And knowing Buckingham, it probably will be. Here, give me some of that. A moment, gentlemen! We're in the middle of our breakfast!
Yeah, they're like getting shot at, and they're getting like there's grenades going off, and they're having a conversation about intrigue, palace intrigue, why they're doing. It really was a well thought out movie, I thought.
And and if you put the two movies together and had one really long movie,
Yeah.
you would basically have the story of the MGM one, the whole story. It's sort of like Wicked now. We had part one, but
Right.
that's only half the story, so the people who saw it on stage know what the whole story is. So they did part one and part two, where they released part one and part two, but it's really one continuously long story. Although the first one can really live on its own. You could end there,
Yes.
not see the second part, and you've seen a very good movie.
Hi there, everybody. Voice actor Roger Craig Smith here to talk to you about NMOSD. It can paralyze you, it can blind you, it can even kill you in a matter of minutes, but we are very close to a cure. And with that cure could come a cure for cancer. So please go to the Guthrie Jackson Foundation and donate today. Appreciate it.